Commander Kyle Martinez stood at the window of Orbital Station Alpha. He watched a huge alien ship move slowly into Earth's space. The ship was bigger than anything humans had ever built. It was 12 kilometers long and made of strange metal that glowed softly in the starlight. "How big is that thing?" Martinez asked. Lieutenant Amy Foster looked at her computer screens. 12 kilometers long, sir. It weighs more than we can measure. The metal is not from Earth." 3 days ago, the aliens had sent Earth a message. It came in perfect English on all radio channels. The message was simple. "Hello, people of the third planet. You have been chosen to join the Galactic Empire. Get ready for changes." President Jake Morrison had been meeting with world leaders ever since. The aliens called themselves the Hegemony. They controlled 47 different alien species across thousands of worlds. They told Earth that humans would now work for them. In return, the aliens would protect Earth and give them some basic technology. "This is not really a discussion," the alien leader had said during their first video call. His name was Administrator Zek Prime. He looked like a human, but with green scales for skin and snake-like eyes. "This is how we always do things. Fighting. Back is stupid and never works for long." But Jake Morrison was different from most world leaders. He used to be a Marine colonel. He believed that America and all humans should never bow down to anyone. "Here is our answer," Morrison had said during that first meeting. "Leave our solar system right now, or we will make you leave." Zek Prime was quiet for almost a minute. When he finally spoke, his voice sounded surprised and maybe even amused. "Your species does not understand your situation. We control 47 worlds with billions of beings. We have military power beyond your imagination. What do you have? About 7 billion very angry humans who hate being told what to do," Morrison had answered. Now Martinez watched the huge alien warship move into position near Earth. He wondered if the president's brave words had been smart or just suicide. Intelligence reports said the alien ship had enough weapons to destroy entire continents. "Sir," Amy said, her voice tense. "The alien ship is charging up its weapons. They are targeting major cities around the world." Martinez pressed his communication button. "Control, this is Alpha Station. We need to turn on all defense systems right now." General Lisa Carter answered from headquarters. "Already working on it, Kyle. All our space stations are ready. Ground weapons are powering up. If they want a fight, we will give them one they will never forget." The alien ship finished moving into position. Then it sent one more message to Earth. "You have 6 hours to change your minds. After that, we will show you why obeying us is the only smart choice." 6 hours. Martinez looked out at the stars and wondered if he would ever see them again. Humanity was about to fight its first war in space against an enemy that had conquered dozens of worlds. But as he watched Earth's defense platforms power up and point their weapons at the alien ship, Martinez felt something he did not expect. He felt excited. Humans had never been good at giving up without a fight. The aliens were about to learn this the hard way. Amy checked her screens again. "Sir, all our orbital weapons are online. Ground-based missile systems are ready. The new electromagnetic pulse weapons that Dr. Susan Blake designed are charged and waiting." "Good," Martinez said. "Send a message to all stations. Tell them to get ready. In 6 hours, we show these aliens what happens when they threaten Earth." Around the planet, millions of humans were preparing for war. Factory workers were loading missiles. Soldiers were checking their weapons. Scientists were making final adjustments to experimental technology that had never been tested in real battle. In the alien ship, Zek Prime looked at his tactical displays. "Begin final preparations for planetary bombardment. This will be over quickly. Primitive species always surrender after the first demonstration of our power." His tactical officer, Vex 9, checked the readings from Earth. "Sir, I am detecting unusual energy signatures from the planet. They appear to be charging some kind of weapons." "Primitive chemical rockets, no doubt," Zek Prime said with a dismissive gesture. "Let them fire their toys. Our shields can handle anything they possess." But Vex 9 frowned at his displays. The energy readings from Earth were not matching any known primitive weapons. They were reading something else entirely. Something That made no sense for a species that had barely achieved faster-than-light travel. On Earth, in military bunkers around the world, human commanders were making final preparations. This was not just about winning or losing. This was about showing the galaxy that humans were not easy prey. Colonel Pete Williams sat in his command center deep under the Rocky Mountains. On his screens, he could see the alien ship waiting in space like a predator, but Williams was not afraid. He was a soldier, and soldiers fought. "All stations, this is command," Williams announced over the radio. "In 5 hours and 37 minutes, we show these aliens what human determination looks like. Remember your training. Remember your families. Remember that we have never surrendered to anyone, and we are not starting today." Across the planet, the countdown began. Humanity's first interstellar war would begin in less than 6 hours. The aliens expected an easy victory against a primitive species. They were about to discover that humans were anything but primitive when it came to fighting wars. High Admiral Keth 7 of the alien Third Fleet had conquered 18 worlds during his long career. He understood how space wars usually worked. Show overwhelming power, accept surrender, begin takeover. Simple, efficient, predictable. The Orcs' intelligence briefing about Earth had been strange from the beginning. "The species calls itself human," Intelligence Officer Dax 2 had reported. "Single-planet civilization, recently developed faster-than-light travel." However, first contact did not go according to normal procedures. "Resistance?" Keth 7 had asked. "Significant resistance. Administrator Zek Prime's squadron was damaged during the initial takeover attempt." Damaged. Keth 7 had read the battle reports 3 times before believing them. A single primitive world had destroyed nearly half of an alien battle group. Nothing like this had happened in 2,000 years of galactic expansion. Recommendations? Standard full fleet suppression. Dax 2 had replied. 50 capital ships, support vessels, and full fighter wings. The humans cannot possibly resist such overwhelming force. That had been 6 months ago. Now, as Keth 7's fleet prepared to exit hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, he felt something that veteran alien commanders rarely experienced. Uncertainty. "Fleet status?" he asked. "All vessels ready for combat," his tactical officer reported. 52 capital ships, 300 support vessels, and full fighter wings. Nothing in the galaxy can stand against such a force. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, a wall of metal and energy that stretched across the darkness. Keth 7 expected to find Earth's defenses hiding behind their single planet, waiting for the inevitable defeat. Instead, he found Captain Joe Parker waiting for him. Parker commanded the ESS Defiance, humanity's first true warship. It had been built in the 6 months since the first battle, using every lesson learned. From that initial fight, it was smaller than any ship in the alien fleet, barely a kilometer long. It was also the most dangerous thing ever launched from Earth's shipyards. "Unknown vessels," Parker transmitted on all radio frequencies. "You are violating Earth space. Turn around immediately or face the consequences." The message reached Keth 7's flagship, and the High Admiral found himself staring at the human commander in disbelief. A single ship facing a fleet that could destroy worlds, and its captain was giving ultimatums. "Are they insane?" Keth 7 asked. "Possibly," Dax 2 replied. "Human psychology remains poorly understood. They appear to have concepts of honor and sacrifice that do not translate well to civilized thinking." "Open fire," Keth 7 ordered. "All ships, full weapons power. Destroy that vessel immediately." 52 capital ships turned their weapons toward the Defiance. Energy beams capable of cracking moons shot through space, all aimed at Parker's ship. They hit empty space. The Defiance was no longer where it had been. It was suddenly 3,000 kilometers away, moving at speeds that should have torn it apart, firing weapons that should not have existed. "Impossible," Keth 7 whispered as he watched his tactical screen. The human ship was using some kind of space-time manipulation to teleport instantly from place to place. But that technology was only theoretical even for the most advanced alien species. The Defiance's return fire struck the alien flagship with the force of a dying star. Strange matter weapons tore through shields that had never failed, ripping apart hull plating that had been forged in the cores of gas-giant planets. "Damage report!" Keth-7 shouted over alarms that had never sounded in combat before. "Forward! Sections destroyed," his damage control officer reported. "Structural integrity at 60%. How is one ship doing this much damage?" Before Keth-7 could answer, 12 more ships appeared around his fleet. Humanity's stealth technology was primitive by galactic standards, but effective enough to hide a dozen vessels until they were in perfect firing position. What followed was less a battle than a demonstration of what happened when an established galactic power met a species that had learned warfare against itself for thousands of years. Humans did not fight fair. They used fake signals to hide their real numbers. They programmed their computers to crash ships into enemy vessels if their weapons failed. They broadcast surrender signals, then exploded nuclear weapons when alien ships came close to accept the surrender. Captain Nancy Green of the ESS Retaliation created a new tactic. She used damaged ships as Trojan horses, loading them with volunteers and sending them toward alien vessels as fake refugees. When the alien ships brought the damaged craft inside for prisoner processing, the volunteers fought their way to important systems and began sabotage operations. "This is not warfare," Keth-7 said as he watched his fleet being systematically destroyed by an enemy force 1/10 its size. "This is madness." Lieutenant Mike Roberts volunteered for one of these suicide missions. His ship was badly damaged. Engines failing, life support running low. Instead of surrendering, he loaded his ship with explosives and 20 volunteers. "Mayday, mayday," Roberts transmitted to the nearest alien ship. "Human vessel requesting emergency assistance. We have wounded aboard." The alien commander, following standard galactic protocols for prisoners of war, brought the damaged human ship into his cargo bay. The moment the bay doors closed, Roberts and his team fought their way out of their ship and began planting explosives throughout the alien vessel. "Tell Earth we completed the mission," Roberts radioed before the alien ship exploded, taking 1,000 alien crew members with it. Similar attacks happened across the battlefield. Humans used their own ships as weapons. They refused to surrender even when their vessels were crippled. They turned every disadvantage into an advantage. Captain Steve Wilson discovered that alien ships had weak points near their engine sections. He shared this information with all human ships, then crashed his fighter directly into an alien dreadnought's engine core. The explosion destroyed both ships, but it also gave other human pilots a new target. "Should we retreat?" Keth-7's tactical officer asked. Keth-7 looked at the battle display. In 6 hours of combat, he had lost 23 capital ships and had not managed to destroy a single human vessel. The humans were using their own damaged ships as weapons. Their crews were refusing to surrender even when their vessels were destroyed. Their tactics violated every accepted rule of civilized warfare. "Yes," he said quietly. "Signal general retreat. All ships, emergency hyperspace jump." As the surviving alien vessels fled toward the edge of the system, Captain Parker opened a communication channel to the retreating fleet. "Tell your friends," he transmitted, "that Earth is off limits. Next time you show up here, we will not be so polite." Keth-7 watched Earth grow smaller on his view screen and tried to write the report he would have to send to High Command. How do you explain to your superiors that a single planet had just destroyed half of your fleet and barely taken any losses in return? More importantly, how do you explain that the humans had enjoyed doing it? The emergency meeting of the Alien High Council had been called for the first time in 300 years. Representatives from 47 different species gathered in the great chamber on the alien capital world. Their various breathing masks and environmental suits created a symphony of hisses, clicks, and electronic sounds. Supreme Administrator Vel Prime called the meeting to order with a sound that meant deep worry in all 47 alien languages. "We are here to discuss the situation with the species known as humans," Vel Prime announced. "Intelligence Chief Kick-7 will give us the report." Kick-7 turned on the holographic display, showing a small blue world circling an ordinary yellow star. "Planet name Earth, species human, population about 7 billion. First contact happened 14 months ago." The display changed to show battle footage from multiple fights. Ships burning in space, impossible movements, weapons that should not exist. In that time, humans have fought alien forces in 17 separate military actions. They have won all 17 battles. A sound went through the chamber that roughly meant, "Oh no," in most galactic languages. "How is this possible?" asked Representative Zor Prime of the Altarian Collective. "They are a single-world species with primitive technology." "That assessment appears to have been wrong," Kick-7 replied. "Human technology development has grown exponentially since first contact. They have achieved breakthroughs in gravity, manipulation, exotic matter weapons, and space-time distortion that our best scientists consider impossible. But more concerning than their technology," Kick-7 continued, "is their military thinking. Humans appear to have developed warfare into an art form. They have studied conflict for their entire recorded history, and they approach it with creativity and ruthlessness that is unprecedented." The display showed footage from the Battle of Proxima Station, where human forces had used their own space station as a giant missile, crashing it into an alien dreadnought while the crew was still inside. "They used tactics that no civilized species would consider," Kick-7 explained. "Suicide attacks, fake surrenders, turning civilian buildings into weapons. They appear to view every object in space as a potential instrument of war." Representative Mel 8 of the crystalline hives made a sound like breaking glass, which meant deep distress. "What do they want? Territory? Resources? Money?" "Unknown," Kick-7 replied. "All diplomatic attempts have been rejected. Their only consistent message is that we should stay away from their space. They appear to have no interest in expansion or conquest. They simply want to be left alone. And if we agree to this demand, our analysis suggests they will continue developing their military capabilities. Within 50 years, they may have the technology to threaten any world in the galaxy. Within a century, they could potentially challenge the entire empire." The Eidserum chamber fell silent. The alien empire had faced rebellions before, even small wars with primitive species. But they had never encountered anything like this. A species that seemed to improve every time you fought them. A species that treated overwhelming odds as a personal challenge. A species that appeared to genuinely enjoy combat. "What about the Corville Directive?" asked Representative Nix-4 of the Mechanical Consensus. "Planet sterilization?" Vel Prime made a sound of deep reluctance. "Attempted 3 months ago, the humans detected our sterilization fleet while it was still in hyperspace. They intercepted it at the edge of their system and neutralized it." "Neutralized how?" "They converted the sterilization weapons into mining equipment and sent us a thank you message for the helpful industrial supplies." Another wave of distressed sounds echoed through the chamber. General Mar Prime of the alien military forces stepped forward. His report was simple and terrifying. "Based on current trends, any military action against the humans will result in unacceptable losses. They appear to learn from every engagement, adapting their tactics and technology at a rate that exceeds our ability to counter." "Are you recommending surrender to a single planet species?" "I am recommending survival," Mar Prime replied. "We have 3 options: continue fighting and face eventual defeat, attempt planet sterilization and risk retaliation against our core worlds, or we designate human space as a restricted zone and hope they remain content with their current territory." The debate that followed lasted for 6 hours. It covered everything from diplomatic offers to preemptive strikes to simply pretending Earth did not exist. In the end, the vote was unanimous. Supreme Administrator Vel Prime issued Alien Directive 1 Alpha, the first of its kind in galactic history. All alien vessels and personnel are hereby prohibited from entering the Sol system or engaging with human forces under any circumstances. Any contact with humans should be reported immediately to High Command. Under no circumstances should any alien citizen attempt to communicate with or approach human vessels. The directive was broadcast across all 47 member worlds within the hour. It was followed by an unofficial message that spread through military channels. The humans are still out there. They are still building ships, and they are still looking for a fight. Do not give them one. 6 months later, The first human exploration vessel was detected at the edge of alien space. Captain Bill Hayes of the ESS Wanderer transmitted a simple message to the nearest alien outpost. "Just passing through. Mind if we take a look around?" The outpost commander evacuated the system within the hour. Within a year, there were reports of human ships throughout the galaxy. They were not conquering worlds or establishing colonies. They were exploring, trading with independent systems and occasionally helping smaller species that could not defend themselves. The alien empire watched from a distance and tried very hard not to attract their attention. Captain Linda Ross of the ESS Explorer was on a routine patrol near the Vegan sector when she received a distress call. A small trading vessel belonging to the peaceful Zalarian species was under attack by pirates. "This is Captain Ross of the human vessel Explorer," she transmitted to the pirates. "Release that ship immediately or face the consequences." The pirate leader laughed over the radio. "One small human ship against our entire fleet? You must be joking." 20 minutes later, the pirate fleet was debris floating in space. The Zalarian traders sent grateful messages to human command, praising the swift and decisive action. Word spread quickly through the galaxy. Humans would help anyone who asked, but they would destroy anyone who threatened them or their friends. In the unofficial history that was passed from soldier to soldier throughout the galaxy, the entry for humanity was short and simple. They wanted to be left alone. We should have listened. The galaxy became a much more polite place after that. Pirates thought twice before attacking merchant ships, knowing human patrols might be nearby. Aggressive species reconsidered expansion plans that might bring them into contact with human space. And in the halls of alien power, a new rule was written in stone. Never wake up the humans. They sleep lightly, and they dream of war. Epilogue. 5 years after first contact, Admiral Lisa Stone stood on the bridge of the ESS Terra Nova, humanity's first deep space exploration vessel. Through the viewports, she could see the lights of New Geneva Station, built at the intersection of 3 major trade routes and serving as humanity's first embassy to the galaxy at large. "Status report, Commander?" she asked. Commander Dave White checked his displays. "All systems green. Trade negotiations with the Altarian Collective are proceeding well. The crystalline hives have requested assistance with a piracy problem in the Vega sector. And the hegemony has sent another formal apology for the unfortunate misunderstanding of 5 years ago. They're requesting permission to establish a small diplomatic presence at the station." Stone smiled. The galaxy was full of wonders, new species to meet, new worlds to explore. And thanks to humanity's first war, they were exploring it as equals rather than subjects. "Grant the permission," she said, "but make sure they understand the rules." "Which rules, Admiral?" "The same ones we've always had," Stone replied, looking out at the stars. "Leave us alone, and we'll leave you alone. Bother us, and you'll regret it. It's worked pretty well so far." In the depths of space, the galaxy's various species went about their business with a new understanding. There were some sleeping giants who just didn't wake up. Humanity slept lightly, and they dreamed of war. The alien attack began exactly 6 hours after their deadline ended. Administrator Zek Prime expected what always happened with primitive planets. Show them powerful weapons, they surrender immediately, then begin the takeover process. But humans gave him something completely different. Energy readings from the planet's surface, reported Tactical Officer Vex 9. He had 4 arms and was working many control panels at once, many launch points. Looks like simple chemical rockets. Zek Prime barely looked at his screen. "Standard nuclear weapons, I assume. Turn on minimum shields. Let them waste their weapons, then we destroy their cities." But the missiles that hit, the alien ship were not carrying nuclear bombs. Each one exploded in a bright flash that sent energy waves across the ship's protective shields. "Electromagnetic pulse weapons," Vex 9 said, and for the first time he sounded worried. "Our shields are getting weaker. Some kind of strange energy interaction." "That is impossible," Zek Prime said. "Their technology is too primitive for—" The second wave of missiles hit before he could finish talking. These were not electromagnetic weapons. They were metal rods made of tungsten, fired at incredible speed by magnetic launchers. They hit the weakened shields like giant hammers hitting glass. On Earth's surface, Colonel Pete Williams watched the battle from his command bunker deep under the Rocky Mountains. The alien ship's shields were down to 60% and getting weaker. The electromagnetic pulse weapons had been Dr. Susan Blake's idea. She was Earth's best particle scientist. If the aliens used energy shields, she thought, then disrupting their power might give humans a chance. Phase 2 begins now, Williams announced. All space stations, fire all weapons. What happened next would be talked about in alien military schools for many years if any of them lived long enough to build new schools. Earth's orbital defense platforms had never been used in real fighting. They were experimental weapons based on new science, built by humans who had only fought other humans before. The alien intelligence reports said they were simple energy beam weapons, nothing to worry about. The aliens were wrong. The first gravity pulse hit the alien ship in the middle, bending space and time in a small area and crushing part of the hull that was designed to survive nuclear explosions. The second pulse hit 3 seconds later and the third 3 seconds after that. Gravity manipulation, Vex 9 reported, and now his voice was openly scared. How do they have gravity weapons? They barely understand faster than light travel. Zek Prime stared at his screen as more parts of his ship were crushed by impossible forces. Launch all fighters. Begin bombing the planet immediately. But even the alien fighter ships, fast and deadly and flown by some of the galaxy's best pilots, found themselves facing something they had never seen before. Earth's fighter ships were smaller, slower, and individually weaker. But they fought with a violence that experienced pilots could not understand. Commander Rick Torres led the first human squadron to fight alien fighters in space. His ship was built with human engineering, human creativity, and human stubbornness. It should not have been able to fight technology developed over thousands of years by dozens of advanced alien races. Remember what we learned in training, Torres told his squadron over the radio. They are used to fighting polite wars against polite enemies. We are not polite. The human fighters attacked using tactics that broke every rule of space combat. They used their own destroyed ships as weapons, crashing them into enemy groups. They fired everything they had, then used their own ships as missiles when they ran out of ammunition. When outnumbered, they did not retreat. They called for more ammunition. Captain Sarah Mills flew her fighter straight into a group of 6 alien ships. Her weapons were damaged, and she was out of missiles. But she still had her ship. "Tell my family I love them," she radioed to base, then crashed her fighter into the largest alien ship at full speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire. Lieutenant Ben Carter did the same thing 5 minutes later, then Commander Lisa Ford, then dozens of others. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Pilots who chose to die rather than lose. By the time the battle was over, the alien mothership was running away toward the edge of the solar system, leaking air and pieces of metal. Half their fighter ships were destroyed, and the survivors were reporting something that alien command had never heard before. Enemy pilots who seemed to prefer death over defeat. "How many enemy ships did we destroy?" Zek Prime asked as his damaged ship moved slowly toward hyperspace. "All of them, sir," Vex 9 replied. "But they destroyed 6 of our ships for every one we killed. The acceptable loss ratio for takeover operations is supposed to be 50 of theirs to 1 of ours." Zek Prime looked at the battle report, trying to understand how a primitive species had just cost the alien empire more military equipment than they had lost in the last 100 years of expansion. Colonel Williams watched from his bunker as the alien ship limped away. Earth's orbital stations were already starting repairs. Factories were already building new ships. The planet was already preparing for the next battle. "Send a message to High Command," Zek Prime finally said. "Request immediate help. Full battle fleet." "Should I classify this as a standard takeover operation?" Zek Prime watched Earth get smaller on his view screen. The orbital stations were already rebuilding. The population was already getting ready for the next fight. "No," he said quietly. "Classify it as a war." In his bunker, Williams smiled. The aliens wanted a war. They were about to get one.